So the first thing I want to do is score this top edge really well. As if I've seen, this is where the cracks form if there are cracks. Then I'm going to add just a little bit of water in that scored area. And then build one coil at a time. So here I'm going to take my clay and I kind of squeeze it to make that coil shape. Move that out of the way. I tend to start at the center, kind of roll. And then this first coil, I'm going to score just so it's good. I like to think of scoring as like a Velcro. So we're making the open network for both sides to kind of come in and grip each other. And then I work, this is my kind of 1 o'clock. And then I might have to change, let's see. What I'm going to do is squeeze really down. So I'm creating like a little triangle. And then I'm going to rotate it. And I'm really making sure this coil is very well attached. Because now this is the coil we will build off of. Here we can build a new coil. And then, if I want to build out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue kind of at this 1 o'clock, and I'm going to put that coil on the outside of that triangle, or that peak. And I'm going to squeeze them together so my thumb is the driver. Let's see. So it's squeezing like this. So they're squeezing together, and now I'm starting to drive all this clay out with that thumb. You'll notice I didn't score and kind of add water to that because these are both really soft clay. So if I had put that coil on and then took a break and came back, then I would. But because they're soft and soft, and I know this is well connected with that layer before, then I can kind of build in that moment a couple layers out without scoring and slipping. This could be all it needs, you know, just a little bit. And then you start making decisions as an artist. You get to be, you know, do you like this pinched texture? Do you like that kind of organic edge? Do you like this look of the two coils lined up? Or maybe you want to come in at this point with your ribs and then start cleaning this up. You can erase all those pinch marks. You can even come in to the inside here and clean up that line too. You can get an idea of the different things you can do. So there you've got a little basic dish with that ring mold. Here it is. And this is the next day. So it's now leather hard. It's got that kind of big angle right here. It's got that built-in foot. It's got this. It is now kind of a perfect leather hard where I can kind of make a mark with my nail. See that mark? But then I can pretty easily smooth it out too. So this is a really good time. I'm going to add a little clay in here, and I'm going to finish the edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to score and add some water to rehydrate and kind of awaken those this area here, which is that leather hard, and then add this soft new clay to that area. So this is where, if I just added the soft clay there, there's different shrinkage happening, and you would most likely see a good amount of cracking, and this added clay would probably end up just coming apart. So this is important to score this pot here. So I'm making my coil here. This is a coil I'm going to add to that area. And then I've got my scoring tool here. Okay, nice and scored there all the way around. Now we're going to add some water. In building, it's better for at home because A, you don't need a wheel, but B, it's not as messy in the way that you want to use as little water as possible. So really, this is, like I said, really important that we're going to get this in here and attached. And it will tell you if you didn't do a good enough job. So if you keep having cracking, it means you need to do a better, more thorough job of scoring. So now you'll see here I am pushing this soft clay into that area. I am making sure it's really well. I'm not pushing in a way that pushes against the pot, but I'm pushing in a way that I know this soft clay is really in there. I kind of like how it looks just added on here. So you can see where now, where it used to flare down, I now have kind of a added little edge underneath. Let's see. And this is where you can start making personal decisions. Maybe you like it how it is. Maybe you want to, at this point, smooth this part out. So here I'm using a rib, or here I'll use the handmade rib. You can come in here and kind of clean that edge up too. You see the difference there? So I just spent some time cleaning it up. Here it is. And now I want to decide about this foot. I can leave it as is, but what I want is just to clean it up just a little bit. Using my rib, I'm going to kind of give it a little bit of a concave center. I'm going to just compress and shave off that center. And then I'll use my rib just to kind of finish off those edges. It's not perfectly square, but I'm okay with that. And I can use my homemade rib. To clean it up. So there's our bottom. Now what do we do about this top edge? So this is a fine little dish like this. You can see some of the wrinkles from putting it together. I want to show dividing this up and scalloping the edge. So oftentimes I'll use a straight edge. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to first divide it in 4. And this is to make an even count, which is a good starting point. So I'll use my X-Acto or my needle tool to kind of mark. So I first do in half, then I'll turn this, so this is now pointing straight at me, so I can then do that in half. Kind of like dividing up a pie. Then we'll divide those sections in half. Of course, you can get more precise, but what I do is I just kind of eyeball it. Then I can make slight adjustments later on. So here we have now the 8 sections for cutting into 8. And what I'll do is I'll use my knife or my X-Acto, and I cut towards the little mark that I have here. So here's my little mark, and then I'm going to cut towards that mark on one side, flip it over, and cut towards that mark on the other side to take that little chunk out. I want to try to not make it too much of a sharp indent right here, because that will be more likely to crack. And then I'll just go around and do that for each mark. You can start to see. Sometimes it can be fun, you know, if you want to just make it not a perfect scallop, you divide it up and then you can try to choose. Like I'm just going to show you here. It could be fun just like that. And leaving this as a big scallop and those as small ones. Or, of course, I can complete the rest of them, which I'll do for the sake of the demo here. So now that it's all trimmed, got all my edges, this is where once again I need to decide how much I want to finish. I would recommend the metal rib. I'm going to flex it so it's got a stiffness, and then I can easily just kind of clean those edges if I want. This is not about making it perfect. I don't believe in perfect, but this is just so it's not got a whole bunch of kind of really wonky, so it just looks paid attention to, is what I like to say. So you can see how I just go around, and at this leather hard stage it just kind of carves a lot like chocolate, and I can get a really nice finish edge. So now we're starting to get to a really nice little dish. If this was going to be a soap dish like I had talked about earlier, I would add some coils just so the soap has that little raised area. Otherwise, it can be a little candy dish or a little ice cream dish, a little dish for your jewelry, a little side dish. Maybe you are one to like a little appetizer party with olives. This could be a really nice thing to put olives or the pits. So I think little dishes are very, very useful. There you go.